Good afternoon, and thank you to the Israeli Bar Association and to Robus for inviting the American Bar Association to participate in this wonderful conference. And today I have with me two colleagues. One is the chair of our largest section, Koji Fukumara, who is here from San Diego. He is the chair of the litigation section. And Stephen Richman is also with us. He is the chair of the international law section that's a co-sponsor of the conference. So welcome. So I am particularly pleased as president of the American Bar to be among friends in Israel who we all know support an independent judiciary, who value the concept of justice for all, and who treasure the rule of law. Israel has a long and very notable history of justice and a robust legal community and judiciary. As the Torah says, justice, justice, justice shall you pursue, which very well aligns with the motto of the American Bar Association, which is defending liberty and pursuing justice. Lawyers from the United States and Israel work closely together in international business affairs, and a special bond exists between our two bar associations. Aside from many informal collaborations, our formal partnerships have also included, in 1995, the ABA's international section, which brought a delegation of 15 lawyers to Israel. And then, of course, from 2010 to 2013, the ABA section of international law conducted joint conferences with the Israeli bar in Eilat. In addition to those collaborations, the ABA brought an important traveling exhibit to Israel in 2015. A translation of the ABA's traveling exhibit, Lawyers Without Rights, Jewish Lawyers in Germany Under the Third Reich, visited the Israeli Supreme Court in Jerusalem and then several other venues in Israel before being visited by more than 50 cities in North America. And we very much look forward to many additional occasions to work collaboratively with the Israeli bar in the future. The most important symbol of the rule of law is having an independent judiciary. It is the hallmark of democracy, the indispensable ingredient to preserving justice. Without an independent judge, there can be no rule of law. Since the ABA's inception 140 years ago, we have been a leading advocate for the fundamental importance of independent courts, and we continue that work today. Since I became president last August, we have stepped in to defend the U.S. judiciary from attacks on multiple occasions, including in October, when it was suggested that the courts of the United States were not appropriately deferring to the prerogatives of the executive branch. We reminded everyone that, in fact, our judges take an oath of allegiance to the Constitution, and that is their job, to interpret the Constitution and not to defer to the wishes of either the executive branch or the legislative branch. Similarly, in November, when our president made disparaging remarks about the judicial system and suggested that our justice system was a laughingstock, I stated publicly that adherence to the rule of law and the protections of our system of justice are critical aspects of our response to terrorist tragedies, and that they are the foundation of the very values that we hold dear. During the Great Recession in 2008, many court budgets were slashed by state legislatures. Many courts became understaffed, and there were long waits for justice in the courthouse. To ensure that justice was not sacrificed as an effort to balance state budgets, the ABA went on record to successfully working with numerous state and local governments to restore court funding. And of course, the selection of judges is vitally important to the rule of law and is something that the American Bar Association has been very involved in, because judges play a critical role in upholding and enforcing the law. It is understandable that citizens and leaders pay close attention to how judges are selected and who is picked. It has been a matter of great discussion here in Israel, and it remains a matter of discussion in the United States. let me take a moment and explain how the system in the United States works. The United States has a hybrid system of selecting judges. There is one method for selecting federal judges and a very different method for state court judges. In fact, each of our 50 states, if you can believe it or not, has its own method for selecting their state court judges. But there are about 5 different systems for it. 21 states have nonpartisan elections of their state judges. 17 states have commission-based appointments by their governor. 13 states have partisan election where the candidates are identified as either being Democrat or Republican. In 2 states, our judges are appointed by their governor, and in 2 states, our state legislatures elect our judges. It is a confusing system, but ultimately each state decides what is the appropriate system for its judiciary. State and local bars play a role in endorsing nominees, but the ABA, which is not formally affiliated with any state or local bars, is not directly involved in the selection of state judges. However, the ABA has been on record for some time in supporting the selection of state judges by a merit system. In states where elections take place, we urge state governments to finance judicial campaigns with public funds to guard against the possible corrupting influence of campaign contributions. Now, in our federal system, all of our federal nominees are appointed by the president. Public attention is often focused on the selection of our Supreme Court justices, with good reason. Our Supreme Court, as is yours in Israel, is the highest authority in the interpretation of the laws of our nation. It's no wonder that the selection of a new Supreme Court justice garners great attention and is a matter of tremendous public interest as well as great political intrigue. But in the United States, the federal court system is quite vast, with 677 judges in our trial court, 179 appellate court judges, and of course 9 Supreme Court justices. The ABA plays a prominent role in how those judges are selected, and that is by virtue of a peer review system where once a nominee is named, it's up to the Standing Committee on Federal Judiciary of the ABA to do a peer review process where hundreds of people are interviewed about each judicial nominee. We do not ask about political ideology. Our sole purpose of this review is to determine whether or not the candidate has the qualifications, the integrity, and the temperament to have a lifetime appointment on our federal court. It is a labor-intensive effort that is staffed 100% by volunteers and involves examining thousands of pages of any legal writings of a nominee. We believe this work is essential to ensuring that our judiciary is led by the most capable men and women available, and we believe it is one of the most important jobs that the American Bar Association serves. And that is why we entrust it to a nonpartisan group that examines a nominee's professional competence, integrity, and judicial temperament, but does not consider the nominee's political philosophy or party affiliation. Last year, with a new president in the White House, there was a historic breaking number of new judicial nominees and increased public scrutiny of them. The Standing Committee reviewed 60 judicial nominees in the last year. It was a long and difficult job. Of those 60 nominees, we found 4 to be unqualified, and the other 56 to either be qualified or well qualified. But it is a record about which we are very, very proud because of the incredible time and effort to go through that peer review process. This year, there remain 93 seats in the federal courts which have openings, and so we expect this committee will be kept very, very busy, particularly because rumor has it that there is a rush to get these nominees in before there's a potential change of parties in the 2018 election. Engraved above the 16 columns of the U.S. Supreme Court across from the U.S. Capitol is the inscription, "Equal justice under the law." That principle binds all of us as lawyers. It is the foundation of our 2 judicial systems, and it reflects the values that attracted most of us to become lawyers. We believe that everyone deserves equal respect in a court of law, regardless of income, social status, ethnicity, or gender. At the American Bar Association, we remain committed to defending this ideal. It is a pleasure to see the growing cooperation between our two bars. Together, we stand for a principle deeply embedded in the democracies of our two nations, the rule of law. Thank you for all you do to strengthen our judiciaries and our democracies, and thank you for inviting me to share this day with you.